All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to What's Your Story? I want to welcome a guest today that I actually had on in the Molten's Mind and Body podcast, I think could be a little over a year ago now, but I want to have him back on because so much has happened since that year, and he's someone that I think all of you can really relate to. We got so much positive feedback from having him on the show before. His story is honestly amazing, from the mindset he has to what he's overcome, to the accomplishments he has. And it's just the beginning of a lot of good things that happen and a lot of, positive things with his career. So before we go too in depth, I just want to welcome Lou. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey Jeff, thank you. It's a blast to be back here, and we've been talking about doing this for a while now, but it's definitely good to get it going. Things are at more of a calmer point in my sort of day-to-day activity. So it's good to be back, and I was really happy to be here. So.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I'm excited to have you on again. Something that we've obviously planned. We obviously wanted to do it sooner, but I think it's a good time to get it done, considering everything going on with your life, finishing up with your master's now, and taking a deep breath for once. So it's cool. I'm excited to talk a little bit about your story again and things that's happened in last year. So to kind of get everyone started, for people that don't know you, I want to go back to the beginning a little bit. I want to talk about your story and how it kind of led to where you were, because it's kind of a crazy roller coaster of a ride and a lot of ups and downs. So I want to touch back before school. Kind of, you ended up getting diagnosed pretty young with cerebral palsy, and I think that was the beginning of a lot of challenges and overcoming obstacles in your life. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about your past and a little bit about that and kind of how all that started.
Yeah, absolutely. Cerebral palsy diagnosed at birth. Many people think, that's the beginning of challenges, but there are plenty of them. But for me, to my surprise, there's been plenty of awesome moments that have come from it too. I've met some amazing people. I've done some amazing things that I've never really pictured myself doing. So being able to experience those, it really makes all the tough days that are sort of sprinkled in there really worth it. And honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And the journey's just getting started. And one thing I'm going to drive home a lot during this interview is the fact that I wouldn't be where I am without the people that I have in my life. It's not so much about what I do and what I accomplish for me. It's just what I'm able to do because of the amazing people that I have around me. We as individuals achieve a lot of different things, but I'm a firm believer that I would not be anywhere where I am, and I wouldn't achieve the great things that I have without my support system, and that support system spreads over the course of miles. We're talking immediate family to Springfield College and beyond. So honestly, I am very blessed for all the accomplishments, but I don't take full credit for any of them. Some people may get mad at me for that because they say I work hard or I put the time in, but I'm a firm believer that it's not all me. It's the combination of the work that I put in. I wouldn't call it hard work because it's work that needs to be done, and then the people around me as well. So that combination leads to great things.
When did the mindset click for you? Was that from early ages? You talk about your support system a lot, your parents, things along those lines. Have you always had that positive mindset, always trying to get better mindset, or is that something that as you got older you developed more of?
The positive mindset and the mindset for continuously striving, continuously growing, continuously progressing, that's always been there. What's developed over time, over the years, especially through childhood and adolescence into adulthood now, is being able to handle the bumps in the roads. A lot of times I'd hit those bumps and we'd spin out for lack of a better term. But honestly, I've always wanted more. I've always strived for more. I'm never satisfied. It's a great thing, but it's an absolutely terrible thing because you are literally never satisfied at all at any capacity. You finish one goal and you're thinking about the time that you spent achieving that one goal and the time you could have been spending working on something else as well, even though you had your plate plate completely full, and there'd be no sort of comfortable way of handling that. But like I said, always wanting more and always wanting to achieve more has definitely developed, and being able to handle the obstacles and see them as growing points rather than sort of setbacks.
I think that's why we connected so well back in like 2015, 2016 in that time, because, at that time I had my bodybuilding stuff that was going on, super motivated, very disciplined, and kind of in super focused. And that's where we met. And I, pretty quickly realized you had a very similar mindset. And a lot of that had to do with your passion for, wrestling and passion just for getting better in general. So I want to talk about wrestling because that's obviously something you're very passionate about, and I think taught you a lot of discipline. And that's where I think a lot of those, overcoming odds or continuously staying positive and just trying to get better and get better, not letting any, loss of a match or anything along those lines kind of stop you from getting better. So when did you start wrestling, and what was it wrestling that allowed you to just feel comfortable and want to continue to pursue it?
So I started competing in wrestling my senior year, which would have been 2014. But I joined the wrestling team as a manager, or after trying out for the team the first attempt in 2010. But my sort of interest for wrestling sort of came in sixth grade when I had a teacher recommend that I try the sport. So I kept that in the back of my mind, and then high school came around, and I knew nothing about the sport. I was very, very, I was intrigued by it because it was something that someone told me that they could see me doing. So that was enough to interest me as it is. But as far as what I know now, which is very, very limited compared to what I hope to know in the future as I continue through it.
Right.
I my love for wrestling sort of sparked because it was an opportunity to compete. I've always loved sports. I've always watched sports. I've played plenty of backyard sports, but being in the backyards wasn't enough. I wanted to get out there, and wrestling was my idea and what I had my eyes set on in order to give myself the opportunity to compete. Um, Notice how I don't say the word win necessarily at first. Competing was my first focus, and that didn't come right away. Um, I wasn't very good at all when I first started, but that's because I didn't make the team for the first 3 seasons. But I knew where I wanted to be. I managed my first 3 years of high school on the team because I wanted to be around the sport. I didn't know much about it, so I wanted to learn. I didn't enjoy managing as much because I knew that that's not where I should have been. I knew that's not where I wanted to be. In that time, I believe that everything happened for a reason, and things take place at certain times to pave the way for when you're ready to achieve things. So I wasn't content with being on the sidelines because each time I watched a match from the sidelines as I was managing, I could just picture myself out there. And I'm one of those people that just when I see something come to life in my mind, it's gonna happen, and I'm not stopping until it does. And it motivated me to work harder and to break down film even better, because there was I had one opportunity to I had one opportunity to learn the sport before I got on the mat, and that was breaking down film. And that was using my resources that someone else thought I could you know be a help with making highlight videos. Um, and I took that and I learned as much as I possibly could, which wasn't anything at all, to be honest, until I get out there.
No, I love it. I just like the idea of knowing that that's what you wanted, but having the patience at the same time to be like, you know what, I'm going to be the manager. It's maybe not something I want to do necessarily compared to being out there, but I'm going to take this. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to support the team. And when my opportunity comes, you're going to seize it and like continue. Was that kind of how it went?
Absolutely. And honestly, it hurt to be a manager at every tournament. I'd go out there, I'd be running around a gym with a camera filming, which was, it's what I was asked to do.
Right.
But honestly, I made I made the most out of it. But I'd come home sometimes and just continuously think and continuously dream about being out there for one season. All I wanted was a chance to compete. I didn't want to win. I didn't want to win to be given to me. I honestly, if it came down to it, when I first started, I didn't even care if I didn't compete. I just wanted to be on the mat. I wanted to practice. I knew I can do it. I had watched plenty of technique. I knew that it wouldn't be a traditional way of wrestling, but there was ways around it, and there was ways to modify it, and I've done a lot of that, with the help of some phenomenal people that I have in my life now. That honestly, I'm very very happy that it didn't happen, because at that moment in time, um, it taught me to wait, and it taught me to be patient and to stay hungry. And it really helped me appreciate the time and the place when I was able to really put that singlet on for the first time and go out there.
Yeah. The patience is a hard part. I think most people don't, think about or have, are able to do. With any goal, it's tough a lot of the time to have the patience to achieve it, or like the practice you need to do it, or looking big picture, especially nowadays. Everyone wants that instant gratification, and not wanting to really put in the work necessarily, where I think that can be really difficult. So was it the idea of eventually getting on that mat, like, and trusting it's really truly what you wanted that allowed you to be patient through that whole process?
I wouldn't even say that. I wanted the opportunity to compete and to really feel what it's like to be an athlete, like a full-fledged athlete, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I really just wanted to see what would happen. That was really it. I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna stop. And the reason I put my foot on the gas pedal my senior year, um, was because that was my last sort of spot as far as like calendar years go to go out there and strive for it. Obviously, I've been able to compete since then, but it's been that was my last go around, last shot to give it a whirl, and we'll see, and from there, I was pleasantly surprised that that wasn't the end, but I had to go for it, had to strive for it, and I had to give it all I got. So,
Sure.
um,
So with all that being said, we'll come back to one thing I want to talk with that, but I want to jump to, I think, an important part that got you to this point, from the aspect of being able to wrestle now, continually improve. You look at your Instagram, the videos on Facebook of just like how far you came in the last 4 or 5 years physically, your strength, from like you running in the sand to doing all these different amazing things. I think a lot of that started from a story that you talked about. And if you don't mind going into a little detail of, this was kind of a big changing mindset point, I feel like, for you, based off what you told me,
mhm.
on what was going to be really possible mentally. Do you mind telling a little bit about that story?
Yeah, sure. So, 2001, I went to Lourdes, France, and
Somebody
they
wants to wave to you.
You're
just
good.
like
You're
that.
good.
Cadence, how are you?
Good.
How's school going?
Good.
Different on the computer? Here, don't get too close. We have to stay
Yeah.
stay distance. Yep. But you're having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see Lo and Ari's and Julie's pictures there.
Oh yeah, they're all there. Your picture's over there as well.
Your picture's over here too. Look.
Oh yeah, that one was last year, right?
See?
I think so.
You're all over the place. Come on, KK. No, that was this year when I was in kindergarten.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Oh,
No worries, brother.
That's my little cousin. Dude, she's
That's
5.
cute. That's awesome.
She's 5. She talks like she's like 9 years old. It's great.
That's awesome.
Full
I have a
con-
cousin like that. Same
full,
thing.
Full conversations. Like I have better conversations with her than I do some of my colleagues at school.
That's amazing.
Uh,
So I can always, we can let it run, or I can edit that clip out. But
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
super cute. But yeah. So to jump back into it, 2001, went to France. Just
Yep.
if we cut. So that
yeah.
story of kind of like how everything just fell into place, and it's like, holy crap.
Literally the holy crap.
Holy crap.
Yeah, man, it was a holy crap moment in a holy place, you know.
Right.
So honestly, we went to Lourdes, France to, visit a sanctuary because I come from a Catholic family, and the properties in the water, or the water is known to possess properties of healing, rather. So they blessed me in the holy water, and they, it was wicked cold, super super cold, and within a half hour, I'd say, I took my first steps without using my walker, which
Awesome.
I had never done before. That walker was glued to the side of me every single day, which is honestly why I was, I was only able to really do backyard sports at the time, because to run, that was kind of tough. I used to play basketball in the driveway with it, and it really opened up my mind and really told me that anything is possible. And you just gotta believe. And from there, that was my that was my eye opener to really show me that the sky's the limit, and we're just getting started with this with this this show, and this journey. So honestly, like, I was actually supposed to go back there this past or this coming summer. We were going to take a trip back, but due to what's going on in the world, we're going to have to postpone that. But hell, I was ready to jump right back in there, like I told you in the last interview.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I
mean,
you, man.
Heck, you don't have to put me in there. I'll jump right in. Don't worry.
Right.
But yeah, looking like some Olympic swimmer in that water.
Michael
So,
Phelps.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, man, I was ready to start, and we've been going ever since.
Cool. And obviously that mindset, and I wanted to touch on that because it just shows, like, for being a kid is a positive mindset, things you overcome, but then having something like that happen to be like, okay, now it's really possible. This is what we can achieve, and this is what's really doable. And there is no limit to what you can do. And that led to you said with high school with wrestling, then, eventually getting into wrestling, started to wrestle more. And then that led you to Springfield. And I want to stop and talk about Springfield because if you look at your social media, you're pretty much got an award for it. Be like the most representative Springfield dude out there. So what was the award called?
That was here. I'll pull up the actual name for it so I can.
Yeah, because it's wild because you're always representing, you're always doing these speeches, you're always talking to people, positive energy, so it doesn't surprise me at all. But it's awesome.
Let me pull up the
yeah, because it's such a cool thing, man. It's just like being that supportive and team.
So that was the NUMAC fan of the or super fan of the year award.
Yeah.
And honestly, that came out of nowhere, man. I've always loved Springfield since about sixth grade. I had a and sixth grade seems to be the year that everything sort of paved the way. Looking back at it now, I mean, but I had a physical therapist who went to Springfield, and he's a very very good friend of mine now, and I had started really the strength training portion of physical therapy with him, separate from where I had my regular physical therapy done. We were actually paying out of pocket to go see him, just because he was like super super good, and it was a nice repertoire to add to the toolbox on top of the awesome physical therapist I had at my first facility. Um, and honestly, his name is Jim. And Jim told me, he was like, I went to Springfield. Just the way your personality is, you should really check it out, and you should go there, and you should see if you like it. And if you like it, you're gonna know. He's like, I'm not gonna have to tell you if you like it, because you're gonna come back and you're gonna tell me that you liked it, and you're gonna be there. And sure enough, junior year of high school came around. I kept Springfield in the back of my mind. It looked like a great school on paper. Loved it on paper, and Springfield was it. Went to go make my first visit there my junior year, and walked on campus. It was my first ever college visit to any school, because I was like, I literally looked, and my parents tell this story all the time. They're like, yep, he said Springfield. He looked at us. He said, we need to go to Springfield. So we went to Springfield, and, we got to Springfield College, and honestly fell in love with the campus, and stuck around a little too longer, much longer than they probably wanted me there.
Yeah.
The only
Coming
reason
from
why,
a fan of the year, right?
absolutely. And the only reason why I'm leaving is because I can't really get any more degrees from there.
Right? You're kind of maxing yourself out.
But I'm not going anywhere. They're stuck with me, and I've gone back to talk with Jim since then. I actually met up with him at one of his facilities a couple years ago, right after I finished my undergrad, and he asked me what's up for next, and I said, well, I'm going back to Springfield for grad school, and he said, yeah, well, there's no shock there. He's like,
Right.
you're gonna he says you're gonna be a lifer there, and I told him, I was like, hey, listen, if a time and a place comes in the future where a job opens up there, you can bet that I'll be back there, because like I said, it's home. And for people that say that Disney World is the most magical place, that's just because they haven't been to Springfield yet. And they need to get there, and they need to figure out that the triangle is a lot cooler than Mickey Mouse and his ears.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been a blast. It's been an amazing 6 years there, full of ups and downs, but never a bad day on campus. A lot of learning moments throughout my individual career, but never a bad moment. And you hate to see it end the way it did, but as I tell people, it's not the end. It's just the culmination of my academic career there. But I'll be there forever.
What did you end up doing your 2 degrees in, from your bachelor's and your master's?
Yep. So I started off, and I went in as a dual major, phys ed and health ed, and then I dropped down to just health ed major, because physically the phys ed was taking a toll on me, and I really had to make that first executive decision, and that grown man decision, and really think about, if you're getting exhausted now, and you're 18, 19 at the time, what's going to happen when you're 34, 35, 40, whatever the age may be. You probably got to put your, I wouldn't even say ego, but your pride aside, pun intended, and just figure out where you can flourish, and really flourish successfully, because there's no sense in beating yourself down, especially when you're working hard, because there's some people in this world that don't beat themselves down, and they achieve results, but they never have to really get out of their comfort zone. So I really, honestly, it was a tough decision, a very, very tough decision. But I finished out my bachelor's with health ed, did my student teaching, did well there. There were plenty of ups and downs throughout.
Don't
Excuse
die
me.
on me.
Oh, we're good. There were plenty of ups and downs throughout that journey, and then I wanted to go back to Springfield, obviously. So I went to go get my master's in health promotion and disease prevention. But overall, that's public health. And my advisor told me right off the bat, she was like, "Listen, this is a great field because you can do a lot of different things with public health." So I chose to go the route of health advocacy, just to really help other people. It's not even to share my story or to inspire people, but just to give people and young kids or whoever the case may be, just the mindset and the insight that they can do anything they put their mind to. It's going to be tough, yes, but you know what? We can do anything that anyone else can. It's really just a matter of whether you're willing to not even climb over the obstacles, but go through them. Just just go through the obstacle. It doesn't have to go anywhere. You don't have to get away from it. You don't have to dodge it. Just embrace it. Things are supposed to be tough. If things weren't tough, then everyone would just achieve everything that they wanted to achieve, and it'd be la di da. We're all champions. And honestly, I've had a blast. At first, I really I really wasn't sure where the route of public health I wanted to go. Believe it or not, because I applied for a master's degree, so you'd think I'd have an idea. But you know what? I really thought about self advocacy, um, and really just going down that route. And I could take that many different avenues. I could take that back into teaching. I could take that wherever I want to. But it's just been fun. And honestly, with the speaking at Springfield, I've been so blessed to be able to share my story with so many athletic teams on campus. Obviously, I'm a wrestler, so being someone that loves the sport, naturally I gravitated toward the wrestling team. My first three years at Springfield, um, I well, my first 5 years at Springfield, I kept my speeches to the wrestling team. And one of my friends looked at me one day over lunch, and they were like, "Listen, you have a gift. Don't be afraid to use it. Don't don't worry about the what if. Don't worry about things going wrong. Just use it." So I was like, you know what? All right, consider it done. So from there, I was asked by the lacrosse coach to give a speech to his team, and that just took off. From there, a bunch of other coaches were asking me to do that, and honestly, it became one of the greatest things to ever happen on campus. I've always dreamt of being a part of college athletics, um, because as athletes, we like to be at the high level. That's what everyone dreams to be. Um, I knew that it was a way that I'd be able to get there, um, and honestly, the fact that this opportunity fell into my lap and I was able to do that, it truly goes to show that everything happens when things are ready. All it took was one other team to to have that opportunity, and I had a blast with it, on campus. Um, those speeches came right around the time, of everything going on right now. So the emotion was high because obviously a couple of my speeches got cut short, but I've still been doing them. I've had coaches reach out to me. I've been doing them over Zoom, these past throughout this past month. And honestly, they invite me into these team meetings or rooms with teams, for me to quote unquote inspire them. But honestly, I don't know who leaves the room more inspired: the team that I'm speaking to, by me, or me by the team that I'm around. Just the energy is just unreal, and I can't even put put it into words. I'm just so extremely grateful to have that opportunity, and it's something I really want to continue for years to come.
There's a few different things I think most people have, to think about when it comes to getting better, and to the point of getting better. The idea of you always trying to improve, trying to always get better, avoid kind of in your head maybe mediocrity of just challenging yourself to be uncomfortable. A lot of people are very scared to be uncomfortable. They don't want to push themselves. Something gets difficult, they quit. Like you said, not trying to go around it, just going through it, and to having that mindset, which is so valuable to, because the way that you create the mindset and look at life is going to really depend on how much you enjoy it, how much you go through it, how it's going to be, the opportunities that can come. Because if me and you are looking at the same thing, and you're focused, you're excited, and it's going to be challenging, but you're looking at it as almost like an exciting game of like, let's see if I can do this. Like, this is going to be amazing. Or if I'm like, this is hard, this is hard, this is difficult. It's like two different lives you're going to live, like your entire life going through it, whether it's school, whether it's your job. And I think people have to start looking at life and looking at jobs about impact and getting and improving themselves, always having little goals in some type of way. But if you can impact other people and help other people in some type of way, and there's a genuine side of you that can do that, it makes everything so much better. It's easy to get lost in social media and how many followers you have and how much all this stuff. But if you were in a room, to your point with all your speeches, and I wanted to bring it up like this, is you could be in a room with 3 or 4 people, but if they're intently listening and you can tell you made an impact and they talk to you at the end, those 4 people, you're like, wow, this is amazing that I did this. But on social media, it's so easy to lose that. I only got 4 likes, but you could have impacted 4 people, but it's so easy for a lot of people to lose track of that. So what has inspired you to just, like, with these talks, you said you got asked to do them at first. Were you uncomfortable doing them, or is this something that you came very natural to you? You just really loved talking to people and wanted to help people?
So originally I started doing these talks at the high school level, and someone asked me, and they were like, do you want to talk to our team? And I was like, yeah, sure. What the heck? I'll talk to your team. So I talked to your team, had fun with it, and then honestly, I fell in love with it. And then when I was able to really get to the college level and talk to the Springfield wrestling team, that was cool too. I fell in love with it too. I was I loved being able to be around the team, and be a part of helping them achieve their goals. So, like, for example, we had this year, they had me come in, and they had me give a speech at the end of the year, and it's honestly amazing because it was the end of practice, and I gave a closing speech right before they were going to go out to Iowa. Now, this speech was given to the whole team. I gave the speech just as is, stood by the wall like I normally do, gave the speech to the guys. Actually, hold on. Nope. This was a week before regionals. So it was a week before the regional tournament. Gave the speech to the whole team. At the end of the speech, everyone, came by, and they were congratulating me because I had gotten the opportunity to meet some of my one of my biggest heroes, the Wisconsin head coach, Coach Chris Bono. So I went out to the Big Ten tournament that weekend. So that speech was a practice run that I was going to give to the team of Wisconsin. And I'll get to the Bono side of things in a minute. But my point here was that everything happens for a reason, because I gave that speech. They took a picture of all the kids, watching and listening to my speech. Fast forward 2 weeks later, you look back at that same picture. The 4 wrestlers on the Springfield team that were sitting in the front row all qualified for the national tournament.
That's awesome.
I mean, if that's not of a meaning of everything happening for a reason and being in the right place because things are supposed to happen that way, I don't know what is. I mean, they could have been sitting scattered. They could have been sitting next to each other in the back. One of them could have been out to get a water break. Another one could have been using the bathroom. But no, the first 4 guys in that picture in the front row were those national qualifiers. And I look back on that and I was just like, wow, I can't believe that. Like, it shocked me. Not even for the fact that my words moved them, because I don't even know if they did. And to be honest with you, that's not my intent. If I inspire someone, good. I love giving talks because I love being around people, and I love taking that energy and really being inspired by the people that I'm talking with. So yeah, man, that was wild, and that'll be something I'll always remember and always always cherish, because unfortunately, the national tournament got canceled. But they were the national qualifiers for that year, and they ended up being All Americans when the voting came back. So that's truly something special, and I couldn't be proud of that whole team, or for those four guys.
So, what was the experience like? We saw it on Facebook. I know you going to see the Wisconsin head coach. Like, why is that someone that you wanted to meet so badly, and how was that experience getting to meet him and go that in that entire thing?
It was honestly, it was something I'm super super thankful for. I'll always be thankful for, because he went out of his way and he took time out of his busy day at the Big Ten tournament, which is again the regional tournament, or the conference tournament rather. So those qualifiers go to nationals. So I reached out to him on social media, way back when, because I wanted to send him one of my Never Give Up T-shirts.
That's
So
awesome.
I initially sent him one of my shirts, and then we were in contact, and then a friend of mine, who I'm very very close with, we got tickets to the tournament, and then I reached out to him and I'm like, Coach, I'm going to be at the tournament. I'd love to meet you, and he responded right away, and he literally went out of his way, took time out of his busy day to meet him, and he came up to the bleachers, not once but twice. He came up at the beginning of the day, and I couldn't believe it when he walked up to me, because I was like, oh my god, this is
Little
this is
kid in the
someone.
candy store.
I'm like, this is someone I've looked up to. Like, this is the guy. And he walked up to me, and he he came over, and I introduced myself, and I'm like, hey, Coach Bono, really nice to meet you. You inspire me so much. And he literally looked at me and he goes, listen, we know I know who you are. Um, you inspire me, and you're a legend in Wisconsin wrestling.
That's
And I was
amazing.
like,
You're like,
cool.
oh.
I was like, whoa, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Well, like,
I can only
so
imagine.
so I I wanted to get a photo with him. So we took a photo on my phone, um, and it was uh a iPhone quality photo. And then he said, hey, turn around for a second. And I was like, okay. Turn around. And he's like, look that way. And I was like, okay. So I look at this camera, and midway through the day, it was probably about 2 o'clock. I get this text from the wrestling assistant coach at Springfield, and he goes, that's an amazing photo. And I was like, where did you find this? And he goes, oh, it's on Wisconsin's Twitter. Go check it out. So when he told me to turn around, a photographer from Wisconsin, one of the media people, who she was super nice as well, really really nice people all around. Um, she took this photo,
So cool.
and honestly, like, I don't even remember that moment, because I
Yep.
was I was just in a blur. I mean, the
It,
fact that the
it
fact
almost
that
it's like an Olympic photo almost. You know what I
oh yeah,
mean?
yeah, and like, for Coach Bono, he's a very very, like, he's such a down to earth kind of guy, and it meant so much for him to take the time out of his day to continue to come say hello. And to this day, like, he still keeps in contact with me, and he sent me a Wisconsin shirt beforehand, and he's always in contact with me. He follows me on social media, and he's truly invested in watching me achieve my first win on the mat. So having that sort of having someone that I've been inspired by so much at such a high level just truly inspires me to work even harder. Um, and it means so much, because I have such a love and such an appreciation for my coaches at home, that I train with, every week, and they've helped me so much. And I just it's truly amazing to have amazing coaches that are just willing to help you achieve that goal of just one win. Um, and everything in between, whether that be academically, whatever the case may be. And then to have, a Division I coach who you look up to following the journey just as closely and just being in your corner as well. So honestly, since that day, I've just been motivated to work harder, even harder than I was before, because that's my biggest takeaway is like you never know who's watching. He was watching me way before I even knew it. You had Coach Reeder, who's his assistant, Coach John Reeder. Now you Google him, and he wrestled for Iowa State, I believe. And you Google him, and he's got this very very amazing wrestling picture from a national tournament match where he's all taped up because he's got like a cut in his head or whatever. And he walked up to me as well, and I introduced myself to him as well. I'm like, "Hey, Coach Reeder, like very very nice to meet you. I'm Lou, my name's Lou." And same thing. He was like, "Listen, I know who you are. I've been following you through
It's
Coach
got to be
Bono."
cool.
I'm like, he's like, "I've been following you through Coach Bono's page this whole time." And at the end of the day, Coach Bono and Coach Reeder had their heavyweight, I think it was their heavyweight, one of the wrestlers, wrestling for third place. And he ran back up into the stands to say goodbye. And he was like, "Listen, I'm not saying goodbye because this isn't a see you later. This isn't a goodbye. This is a see you later." And he's like, "We're gonna get you guys out to Madison, Wisconsin next season." And honestly, I just having an idol like that, following my journey just as closely as I'm following his journey as a coach. Because honestly, I strive to be just like him and take so many of his values to heart. He is just such a personable man at first, but also just so passionate about the sport of wrestling. And he just the one of the reasons why I was so uh, you know can't even think of the word now, but one of the reasons why I was so inspired by him was just because his love and his passion for the sport and his excitement for the sport. All it took was one YouTube video, and I was hooked. There was a YouTube video where they mic'd him up during a match when he was coaching at South Dakota State University, and I was like, this guy's the man. Like this is my type of coach. Like he's fired up and he's jumping around more than some of the guys that are actually wrestling. And I'm like, this is someone I love to emulate and love to really really admire. So I can't thank Coach Bono enough for his you know his inspiration and his support. And he started off as a role model of mine, still is, and someone I'm inspired by. But more importantly, he's a friend for life, which is super super special.
But it's contagious, man. The energy he has and just the motivation, and you can see the passion of what he does. And I think that's why yourself and other people are just so drawn to him because he loves what he's doing. He loves that. He's passionate about it, and that only can inspire other people to want to do it. So transitioning a little, kind of staying similar topic is what are your goals and plans with the rest of your wrestling career?
My first goal is gonna be getting that first win, um, and my coaches here at home are fantastic. They're some of the greatest people that I've ever met, and it makes the beginning of the journey, obviously, honestly, completely worth it. Because if things went according to plan at first, you know, I probably wouldn't have, found these amazing coaches. So as far as wrestling goes, I want to continue competing as much as my body allows me to. Get that first win. I haven't decided yet if when the win comes, I'm gonna take a little while off of competing. Um, I might switch into jujitsu as well because my coaches have talked about that. They
My
said
brother's a blue belt. He loves jiu-jitsu.
I've heard so many great things, and my coaches are really they're telling me, they're like, "Listen, after you get this first win, we're switching you over." And I was like, "You know what? I was like, that's a promise." So that's a promise to them, and man, I just love competing. There's no better way to spend a day just competing and really honestly just invest in yourself in the whole process. there's no better feeling than stepping out on that mat and literally blacking out, not remembering anything. I don't remember any of my matches ever. All the good ones I don't remember
It's crazy.
because I just go I go into such a tunnel vision that it's like, listen, you got 7 minutes or 6 minutes, whatever the whether it's high school or college format. You have 6 minutes to wrestle as hard as you possibly can, and if you don't, you're gonna remember it for 364 more days when you only compete once or twice a year. So
Right.
you be the judge there. Are you tired with 30 seconds left? Or are you tired of losing? That's my mentality. Um, I take my rest days when I work out. I do my workouts because they keep me in shape for wrestling, to be honest. Obviously, they help my body too. And I've just developed a love for really getting to feel my body and getting to know what I can do and really expand my comfort zone, like I said. And when that first win comes, now that all those teams that I've spoken to, it's going to be even more special. And I broke down after almost winning by 1 point. When I get that first win, it's going to be something special. Those emotions are going to go from here to Springfield to Madison, Wisconsin, and back.
Right.
We're ready to
Right.
roll. Like I said, I train like I'm wrestling tomorrow. I was supposed to be wrestling in July, but as of right now, doesn't look like it's happening. But that's all right because when I get back out there, we're time to go, it's time to go. Uh,
Yeah.
my favorite part of a workout is being exhausted. People are like, "Oh, that's the worst part." No, that's my favorite part. I love just being beaten down, thinking and feeling like I can't go anymore, and just pushing through.
Y-
That's the most that's the closest metaphor to a wrestling match. Your opponent doesn't care whether you're tired right now. They want you to be tired, but are you gonna give up those points? Or you're gonna go for it. So
Yeah. See, I love that. And it's weird because I come from more of a strength background, the bodybuilding background. But I can tell you over the last like 2 or 3 years, about maybe the last two really, really um, a lot. I guess I want to say this is I've been obsessed with like ultra marathon runners. I've been obsessed with these because there's such a mindset that you have to have. To me, it's easy to lift weights. Like you go in a gym, pick up a weight once, lift really heavy. Like you got to have a certain mindset to do it, to go try to pick up 500-600 pounds for a deadlift, right? But it's like a very short moment of discomfort. The idea of doing a you know 10-mile race, 20-mile race, 50-mile race, 100-mile race, whatever the race is, these ultra endurance athletes, you got to be embracing the suck and be uncomfortable and exhausted, to your point, that feeling for god numbers of hours, 10, 12, 15 hours and all this stuff. So I have such a respect for that because it's like you got to go. And I wish if I can fix my knee, like I want to start doing it even with injuries. It's probably not the smartest idea because my knee hurts and things like that. But I just love the mindset that you have to go do a race and just being in uncomfortable, breathing heavy, fatigued, body hurts a little, but you have to keep pushing through. And it's such a mental game, and it translates so well to life that if you can get
absolutely.
through
And
this,
and honestly, I don't mean to interrupt, but
you're good.
I signed up for a Spartan race
That's what I was gonna bring up. Yeah.
In April because you know what? Have I done a Spartan race? No. Have I ever wanted to do one? Maybe. But the one reason I did was because you know what? I literally signed up and paid money with the mindset that if I go out there and do a Spartan race, I'm gonna be uncomfortable and it's gonna
Fair. Yeah.
suck. And I'm gonna be fatigued and I'm gonna be in pain. But you know what? That's gonna carry over to July when I'm wrestling for 6 minutes. And when I was in pain and uncomfortable on mile 2, that's definitely going to carry over when I'm trying to dig deep and get that final takedown. So I literally signed up for a Spartan race so that I could purposely be uncomfortable and get ready to be uncomfortable so that when I am uncomfortable in a wrestling match, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. Kind of weird, kind
No,
of
dude,
kind of a
I am obsessed with that idea. It makes me I'm so like to I have a high expectation for myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself. Physically, I'm not the same person I was because injuries flared up and things like that. So the ability I have to, I could either not do things or be in pain doing things and try to fix those things. But it's just a question of what I want to do. But the idea last January, so a year and 3-4 months ago, the goal was to do a train all year, do like some Spartan races, and then do like a Spartan Ultra, which is a 30-mile, 60 obstacle course race.
Oh, wow.
But the idea of how uncomfortable I would be and just to survive that, the idea of doing that would be absolutely on another level. Momo, hey, come here. So that I get it 100%. I couldn't get anyone to even think about doing one with me because it's just, it's like, it takes like 12 to 14 hours to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, but anyway, I completely can relate. So I just think if you can get into the mindset of putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation from a day-to-day basis, a month-to-month, and doing these things in these races, it's only going to prepare you for life more and more, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, carrying over to yesterday when I presented my research, I treated the same process as a wrestling match. I mean, I said it in my Facebook post yesterday, but literally that was my mindset. I was like, listen, you have to go out there, you have to prepare months and months and months and months in advance, and you have to go out there tomorrow or yesterday on competition day per se, and you have to go out there and you have to wrestle through and you have to score as many points as you possibly can. Now we got an email and they were like, oh yeah, you can invite your peers, your colleagues, your friends, your family to the e-poster presentation, and people are like, oh no, a lot of people I'm assuming would probably be like, oh no, I don't want to do that because this is nerve-wracking enough, and if there's people there, then I'm gonna get all nervous. I invited one person from each of those categories to come into the Zoom meeting because I was like, you know what, might as well. I got to do this freaking thing. Might as well just make it more uncomfortable and make it fun. You know what I mean? And I talked about in the last podcast that I did with you. I had a very inspirational professor in my undergrad who really just helped me see my ability to be an advocate for people with disabilities. And she actually, I invited her to come watch my my poster yesterday, and she actually asked a question, and I was like, oh, okay, this is my time to my time to shine and my time to really just embrace the moment. So that was really, real special because, like I said, that was a very, very inspirational person in my professional career. So to have that come full circle was pretty special. But yeah, man. Overall, it's all about just embracing the people that you have. Like I said before, and it's what makes the journey special. And those are my biggest assets.
So last question I have, we could easily talk for hours and probably will when we get off, but I want one more big question. And you can take
sorry. I didn't realize we went that long. My bad.
No, we're fine. I don't mind posting it. It's, I think there'll be a good amount of people that'll end up watching it.
Yeah.
But trying to keep it, in that hour range so people, can watch it and have time to do it. Yeah, but I mean, obviously you're an interesting dude and you have so much to talk about and there's so much that I see eye to eye with you with. There's easily, I mean, we could go for hours. So the big question I have, before I ask the last question, is there anything on top of your head you wanted to bring up?
Honestly, just appreciate the people that you have. Like I said, I am so appreciative for one, Springfield College, two, all my wrestling coaches here in Connecticut. At the gym that I train at now, Coach Nick, Coach Ryan, Coach Roger, and all my teammates. They're phenomenal people, and I can't thank them enough for everything that they've done. They've not only helped me. They've not only helped me grow as a person, but they've helped me grow as an athlete, and they've helped me achieve my goals on the mat. And they've just they've made me a happier person knowing them and having them in my life. My all my teammates there are equally supportive. And sorry, oh my God,
You're good. Grab some water if you need it.
Oh, we're good. Yeah, I just one of my biggest blessings is being a part of of that team. And honestly, when that win comes, it's not going to be me getting the win. It's going to be my whole. I may be getting the win physically out on the mat, but that win won't be from my hard work. That'll be from the support of every single person that has helped me throughout the years. Those that told me I couldn't do anything. Again, I'm not doing it to prove them wrong. I'd be wasting my time if I was doing something to prove someone wrong. I'm doing it because I love it, and I'm doing it because I got the best team of family, friends, coaches, professors, whatever the case may be, behind me. And honestly, that win is gonna mean more to me than any other sports moment that I've ever watched or sort of uh, had, and it's gonna propel me to continue to strive for more, and it makes every single bump in the road worth it, and I do it all over again if I knew that it was going to lead me to these amazing people. So my thanks and my gratitude to people like you, and to so many other people that have really helped me flourish, grow as a person, grow as an athlete, and just grow in spirit, mind, and body.
There it is, the triangle.
Oh yeah.
So last question I have, I'm going to steal this question from a podcast called Impact Theory with Tom Bilo. Um, Basically, his last question he asks, I think, relates to you very well. I usually go in a certain direction depending on each person, but I think this is a really good question, and it really connects with you in a lot of ways. So, question is what is the impact you want to have on the world?
That is going to be a very, very tough question, but I will say this. I want the world to know how appreciative I am for the people that it has brought me. And I mean that in the most sincere way possible. Um, I'm going to say that again so you can write that down for me and text it to me in like 5 minutes.
Yep.
But honestly, I want the world to know how thankful I am for the people that it's brought me. Because, like I said, I wouldn't be half the person, I wouldn't be the full person I am without my support system. And never give up is more than a motto. It's a lifestyle, and it's as strong as it is because of the phenomenal people that I've met, and every single person that I've come in contact with that has inspired me holds a very, very special spot in my heart, and they are the reason that I am able to succeed, and have been able to succeed. Um, Hard work is something that needs to be done. Work is something that needs to be done. But honestly, just being being inspired by so many phenomenal people is what I credit my success to.
I love it, man. That's a perfect way to end it. I appreciate you coming on, doing another interview. We'll definitely do another one in the future. But I hope for people that didn't see you, or maybe even the ones that did, they learned something new about you. They can, get re-inspired, or maybe, I'm not a huge fan. I think motivation at times is short-lived, but at least in the short term, use this as some motivation and hopefully turn it into some type of drive for a lot of people that are, maybe playing, maybe struggling with their own things, especially during this time. To have, if most people could take the mindset that you have, or even a piece of it, they're going to go a long way, to getting themselves in a better situation. So I just want to thank you for coming on, man. And
Absolutely,
yeah,
thank you. And honestly, in this time or not in this time, or whenever the case may be, is honestly, like, just people just need to remember how important it is, to just pick up the phone and just let people know how much you appreciate them. Not to physically do it, but just to let them know, because honestly, there are a lot of phenomenal people in this world, and letting them know how awesome they have sort of contributed to your journey is definitely something that needs to be done. Now, at any time, but if at any point, now more than ever. And a lot of people really need to, pick up the phone, and instead of holding it like this, with the keyboard showing, they need to hold it like this, and they need to talk to someone and they need to tell them either what they're going through, what their struggles are. They need to find, insight from other people. They need, and honestly, if it means just telling them how much they appreciate having their support and having their love, that's what needs to be done. We do enough of this nonsense, and we really just need to go back to the framework of life and just open up our mouths, open up our ears, and really just open up our hearts. So let's go.
Perfect, man. Yeah. Even if you could just say, if everyone could, text 5 people through their Facebook or phone or contact or Instagram a day and just say, hey, how you been? How are things? Just reconnecting. I think that's huge. Simple things.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Definitely.
All right, man. Well, thanks again for coming on. And
Absolutely.
if anyone wants to reach out, we'll obviously put your contact information in, but is it best to reach you on Instagram, Facebook? Does it matter?
Instagram is probably best. That's probably where I answer most, and that's where my sort of motivational speaking platform is.
Cool.
Twitter I don't really use, and Facebook is more for just personal, family, and friends and things. So
Okay.
my Instagram is at Sweet Lou. So that's SWEETLU 1117. So that's 1117 altogether, all lowercase. Again, that's Sweet Lou, LU, not LOU. And yeah, I will. I'm here to support anyone on their journey. Um,
Cool.
Obviously, content needs to stay somewhat professional, I guess. If I find it kind of weird, I might not really share it. But yeah,
Cool.
I'm always here to help, and we're stronger as a collective unit. So yeah.
Cool. So we'll tag you in the post, make sure they have it. And until next time, man. Again, thanks for coming on, and we'll be in touch soon.
Heck yeah, thank you, Jeff. And honestly, everyone just dream big and never give up.
Never give up, baby.